Welcome back. This is Kicking It with Saint. I am your host, Saint. How y'all doing today, man? I appreciate y'all for kicking it with me, man. I just had an epiphany. When I just said that, I just looked up. I was finna open this soda. I looked up, and I know some people are like, "Oh, you drink sodas." Listen, bro, I drink more than enough water, bro. And the only soda I consume is Sundrop because that's the nectar of the gods. Appreciate Skip for that line forever. I just realized I had an epiphany, if that's what it is. I just realized something. I think this is the first time I ever said I appreciate y'all for kicking it with me. And the name of the show is Kicking It with Saint. Unbelievable that it took me that long to greet y'all like that. But what's good with it, man? Listen, as you can see, we done went through a bit of a rebranding. I know motherfuckers laughing at me like, how a motherfucker gonna go through a rebranding and he not signed, he got no sponsors, he not big, he only get a couple views. Well, listen, bro, you gotta act as if you sign. You know what I'm saying? You gotta carry yourself in a manner. Whatever you do, you gotta always do it to your best ability. All right? That's a lesson for everybody. Whatever you do, it don't matter if you signed or not. You got to do it to your best ability so that one day you can be signed. Because you never know who watching. You never know who listening. You never know who randomly decide to scroll across one of your videos one day. That's why that's a good thing. It's a good that if you got a dream, start pursuing it. You never know who going to pick you up at one point in time or who going to sign. You might get signed tomorrow. Like, who knows? You know what I'm saying? But whatever you do, just because you don't have big money, you're not making big money doing it, you don't have big sponsors behind you, do it to the best of your ability. Except the only thing that I will not co-sign any longer is work. As far as like working for people, like I don't care what job it is. You could be a mechanic, you could be work at a restaurant, and I'm not gonna be an ignorant motherfucker and be like, you can flip burgers. No. For one, most of the machines, you don't even have to flip the fucking burgers. But two, because they grill it on both sides when you shut the thing down. At least at Wendy's, that's what they do. But for two, it's names for those. I'm not going to, if you're a chef, you handle the cash registers, whatever occupation you do. I used to tell people, like, you should always do that to the best of your ability. You should always work hard. Well, after being on this earth for 27 years and probably working in corporate America, if that's what they call it when you have a job, I don't know. But after working for so long for people, I'm starting to realize, no. You do what they pay you to do, bro. Do exactly what they pay you to do. I done had bosses, bro, and I finally done got around to opening this drink. I done had bosses that'll have me slaving at work and won't pay me an extra dime, won't pay me overtime, will not give me a raise, none of that shit. And the thing that I hate the most is, it's like in today's society, now that the pandemic, ever since the pandemic had hit and going past it, see, the pandemic, as bad as it is, the one thing that I think came out of the pandemic that I really appreciate, and a lot of people probably don't, but I do appreciate this, is people realizing they value and what they will and won't work for anymore. See, but the mistake that the government made was giving people $600 a week. That wasn't a mistake as far as giving people $600 a week. I believe that was good. Give people the $600 a week. I wish I had hopped on that when it was available. The $600 a week thing, this is why I wish I had hopped on it from the rip. The reason I appreciate them doing that for people is because people needed it. The problem, people was making more off of that than they was actually working. Trust me, I know. I went to work. I was looking at my checks. I know people who would make, now, granted, I'm going to be honest. Listen, I work a lot, so checks for me come back pretty decent, but that's only because, and it's not even decent as in like, oh, he written, no. It's decent as in he could pay a couple bills, can buy him a sack, It ain't nothing, because I see people nowadays who promote and brag about working multiple jobs, and I'm just like, that's what you dreamed about when you was a little kid? Working 4, 5, 6 jobs, trying to make ends meet, having no time to yourself, being tired every time you got free time, you always tired, you gotta use it to sleep. Like, what kind of life is that? Nobody should strive for that type of life, to be completely honest with you. Listen, at least in my opinion, nobody should strive for that type of life. It's like I was telling my mom a couple days ago when I had stopped by. I was like, listen, because she was talking about how millennials, or whatever she wanted to call them, how people don't work no more. And I was like, well, I don't think people should be going to work to make no money, basically. You slave at these jobs all week because, for one, I done said on a podcast, oh, that's not a podcast anymore. I done said on the show before, listen, when I was in school, when I was coming up in school, at some point in time in high school, I started to realize to myself, why are they telling me that the only way I'm going to make it in life is if I go to college? Like, why is that the only avenue for success? Like, I was like, that feel like a scheme, to be honest with you. Like, it just don't feel like that should be my only avenue to success. And then they was like, well, it's not. You can go to the Army or the Marines or the Armed Force. And I'm like, what? So I got to go put my life on the line? Nah, that's not the move either. And to the people who like going into, you go to college, you graduate. I know a lot of people who went to college and who graduated and don't have jobs with the degrees that they have. So that's neither here nor there. Two of my homies is car salesmen, and they went to art school. So you tell me how that works out. But I just think that this whole school thing is a scam. It's certain degrees certain schools that, yeah, if you go to them, that's probably Harvard's and the shits like that. But for most people, man, they sitting on debt when they get out of school and never using that degree for shit. They just praying for it to come up. And listen, it's a lot of people who do. Now, I done heard the saying that everybody can't make it. Some people gotta fail. I understand that in a form, in terms of sports. Like, yeah, everybody can't win in a game, basketball, football. Somebody gotta lose. But all them, one thing that people don't talk about, all them motherfuckers is winning who is in them games, because they all making millions. So they all winning regardless. That's why they always be like, basketball is not the end all be all of football. My sport is not who I am. That's why LeBron told y'all motherfuckers that y'all still gonna be broke and mad. That's why Bron said that shit, bro. Because he know. The man just built his daughter like a little miniature house behind his house. Like, come on, man. Who don't want to do that for the kid? He living a great life. So they right when they say that, but But I can't subscribe to this. Go to work every day and bust your ass for these employees who don't give a fuck about you. It just is what it is. And I know people waiting for me to start talking sports, but we talk a little bit of everything on the show nowadays. But listen, man, it is what it is. I don't think people should go to work working for minimum wage and shit like that, trying to make ends meet. You working 12 hours a shift, but they only paying you 7 hours, or only paying you $8 an hour. What? I don't even think $10 an hour is enough. And then nobody ever talk about how bad or unprofessional some of these businesses is when you get in the door and start working for them. You tell them the reason you don't like the job or you don't like working, they instantly think you're lazy and you don't want to work. It's crazy. But with that being said, welcome to the show, man. I appreciate y'all for joining me. I probably already said that, but thank you for kicking it with me. Thank you for clicking on the video. We're talking about super wild. No enthusiasm when I be saying that. Super wild card weekend around. It is done. I don't even know if I done cursed in the first minute or so. I'm not for sure. I can't remember. But anyways, I guess I didn't. If I didn't, I might have did. So anyways, the Cardinals just got stomped, meaning that I got all my wild card picks right. Now, it wasn't hard because a lot of the games was easy picks, to be honest with you. The only game that you really probably was let me think about it, was this one. And this one didn't even turn into that because Kyler Murray was atrocious in the first half. Kyler Murray was really atrocious most of the game. They got the little they got the scores at the end when the Rams really didn't give a fuck no more because they had already won the game. And before I even get into all this, it's just so funny, man, to see Odell having this type of success and to see what people were saying about him when he was in Cleveland, trying to blame him for all of Cleveland's problems and shit, man. It's funny how this doesn't seem to work out. Very funny how this seemed to work out. I don't know why people hated Odell, or why people, I guess that's what I have to call it, why people was hating on Odell so much for somebody. That's what always confused me. I understand liking an athlete and who you like is your favorite and shit like that, but I don't understand how people so quick to criticize players that's done shit in the league compared to players who haven't. Like everybody in Cleveland and the bozos out there wanted to blame Odell, and I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck has Baker done for y'all to just be putting all this on Odell when clearly it wasn't Odell anyways? But it's funny to see where Odell Odell catching playoff touchdowns and Baker at the crib now. So interesting. But the Cardinals, boy, this was. Now, I've been saying all year that I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is really a good coach, and I didn't need this game. I didn't need him to lose this game to, reaffirm that for me. Just going off of what I done seen from Cliff the last couple years, I don't think Cliff Kingsbury is a great head coach, especially not a great NFL head coach. Now, the shit he do might work in college. I don't know. I know he came from college right to the Cardinals after getting fired from a job. But that's as much as I know. Because like I said, I'm not a fan of college football. But I don't think Cliff is a great NFL head coach. I also don't think Kyler Murray. I think I done figured out how I feel about Kyler. I don't. Maybe it is the height that he got to play, that he battling against too. I don't know, man. But when I look at the Cardinals, I've been saying it all season. I do not like their offense, bro. I just don't like the offensive game plan that they come out with. And mind you, to me, their offensive game plan is just very confusing for one. Like, I don't understand the the system that they call. Like, they can't run the ball effective. And it feel like they throwing plays is not really down the field. Like, they do toss the ball down the field here and there on certain plays, but it just don't feel like their offense got any type of consistency. And that's why it's confusing to me, because I'm looking at a team like Dallas, right? And Dallas losing made sense to me. They played against a lot of bad teams. Their best games was against bad teams in their division. And when you beating up on sorry teams in your division all year, I'm not shocked that you wasn't prepared to play an actual good team, especially when you kept losing to the good teams during the season. The confusing thing about the Cardinals is they beat good teams during the season. They play in a division with good teams. So it was very confusing to me that this happened. But while I was watching this game and down the stretch of this season for the Cardinals, I really kept thinking to myself, if Russell Wilson stay in Seattle and they get their shit together, the Cardinals is missing the playoffs next year. And they probably will keep missing the playoffs because Kyler Murray is the third best quarterback in that division. Fourth, in my opinion. And I like Kyler. But I just don't like the way Kyler played. And I'm starting to realize that. I done said multiple times I don't like, some of his recklessness here and there and blah, blah, blah. I'm starting to realize it's this combination of Kyler and Cliff that I don't like. Because Cliff is not I guess they hired him for his offensive prowess. I have not seen an offensive guru since he took over the Cardinals. And like I said, the best thing that happened to Cliff was that they started the year the way they did. And when I got to go back and look at the way they started the year. Because looking at how they ended the year, I do not understand how this team won as many games as they did to start the season. I don't get it now. Looking at this team now and looking at it how they started. Because this was not a good team at the end of the day. Chandler Jones went cold basically. He didn't even end the season with the leading amount as the leader of sacks on the Cardinals. Kyler Murray got banged up like he do every year down the stretch, and they folded. Like this, the Cardinals to me looked like a bad regular season team towards the end of the season. But because they stacked so many wins early, and I really got to go back and look at these dudes' record, bro. Because it is possible that the Cardinals beat up on some bad teams. Because when you have a bad record, the following year you usually get an easier schedule, and the Cardinals was a perennial bad team. I gotta go back and watch it and look at some of these games and shit, because I just don't. Man, it's crazy looking at this team, bro. Because listen, the Rams had their struggles and whatnot throughout the season. Matthew Stafford with the interceptions and the pick sixes and all that shit. I still knew the Rams was a better team. What's gonna hold the Rams back or stop the Rams is Matthew Stafford. The defense played good enough. They had a great game tonight. The defense come through when they need to. Aaron Donald come through in big games. Like, I know people want to hold him against him about them losing last year to the Packers, even though he was clearly playing hurt and shouldn't have been playing at all. But you can't say Aaron Donald don't show up for big games. That motherfucker shows up for big games. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. God bless the quarterbacks in his division. Man, imagine having to play Aaron Donald 2 times a year. And they keep giving the man help. It's like after they realize that Aaron Donald might be the greatest fucking defensive player of all time eventually, it's like they said to themselves, how can we continue to get him loose? Bring in Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, just bringing in all type of dudes on their line that can help Aaron Donald. It's insane how great Aaron Donald is, bro. And motherfuckers got to play him 2 times a year. And I'm telling you, he's starting to terrorize Kyler Murray. And maybe he always done terrorized Kyler like this. I just hadn't paid too much attention to the Cardinals. I know he terrorized the Seahawks, but you know that because, for one, I pay attention to it, but also the Seahawks are usually a good team. They on TV. The Cardinals are not usually this good of a team, and I truly believe that they are not gonna. And it's rough to say this, right? It's crazy what I'm finna say, but I don't think that the Cardinals are gonna build on. Oh, first off, Eric Weddle, one of my favorite players all time. He used to be a Raven. I hate that we ended up having to let him go. He was playing for he came out of retirement. He'd been retired for 2 years to play with the Rams. He didn't really have to play tonight because it was a blowout. So I just wanted to shout out Eric Weddle, one of my favorite players all time. But back to what what we were just talking about. When I look at Kyler Murray and this team, right? As good as Kyler Murray could be, I don't think he's going to get to that with this coaching staff. I don't think they have any type of structure to their offense. And as good as James Conner is, he pretty much proved that he still was. I mean, he can make more plays than he made in Pittsburgh, obviously. But he is not the same running back that I saw in Pittsburgh when it was James Conner when he was there is the same running back that was in Arizona. They just allowed him to make more plays in a passing game than Pittsburgh allowed him. But he's still very much the same running back, which is just not an elite running back. It's kind of how I feel about Austin Eckler, but I think Austin Eckler is better than him. But Austin Eckler is a dynamic running back. He not really a give him the ball, let him run through the tackles and shit. And I think sometimes quarterbacks do pay for that when you got a running back like that. See, it's different when you got a Le'Veon Bell who legitimately could run the ball great and pick up yards in the passing game. Like Lev Bell in his prime wasn't just a receiving back. He actually was a phenomenal running back also. I think that's the difference between some of these running backs. Like Christian McCaffrey to me is a phenomenal receiving running back. But he ain't a great running back because for one, he always hurt. And two, he listen, y'all crowned Christian McCaffrey off of one great year. That's all I'm going to say. Y'all didn't make that man stack back-to-back seasons, stay healthy, and none of that, man. Y'all just started being disappointed because you crowned him and the man started getting hurt. That's why you got to take a little bit of time. Or don't. It don't really matter. Christian McCaffrey will probably get healthy. I think they're going to end up trading him because I think Chuba is going to end up being the starting running back over there. Especially if he can stay healthy, then I just don't think you can keep wasting that type of money on Christian McCaffrey. It's just like the Ravens might eventually have to think about trading Ronnie Staley if he can't play a full season next year. Because, like I said, you pay him way too much to basically miss the last 3 seasons or 2 seasons. So, But, back to the Cardinals. When I'm looking at this Cardinals team, bro, I already said I'm not really the biggest fan of Cliff Kingsbury. But I think it's more than just Cliff, bro. Like, Kyler got to take some of this blame, too. I don't know what it is, bro. Kyler got the weapons. I do think the bailouts ended when D-Hop got hurt, and it became a situation where he actually have to scan the field, read the field, and things like that. See, I think the Cardinals run too much of a college, which is very crazy that people talked about the Ravens and some of these other teams running high school style offenses and shit. I don't know what they watching when they watch the Cardinals, because the Cardinals offense to me is a college high school style offense, and when it's hitting, yeah, it can hit, but when it's not, they look terrible. Kyler threw some bad picks, and I told y'all, man, one of the biggest reasons I'm not a fan of this slinging it out to the left, slinging it out to the right on these receiver screens or these multitude of screens that some of these teams run. When defenses finally pick that shit up and realize what you're doing constantly, bro, them bobble interceptions and shit happen way too often because these receivers and these running backs who trying to make these quick little catches, they see the dude coming up trying to hit them. And they trying to hurry up and get that catch and turn up the field, and they don't complete the catch, and boom, bobbled in the air for an interception. Like, and that shit is on the quarterback. I keep seeing people blame the receivers and shit like that. No. Brian Greasy did a great job of breaking down Kyler Murray's interception to the D lineman tonight. When you throwing those screens, you got to put that outside of the dude who you throwing the screen to so he can go and get it. You can't put that shit inside and have him trying to readjust and make it on the fly. Now, boom, bopped up. That's on Kyler. I think quarterbacks like Pat Mahomes, a lot of them batted passes is on Pat Mahomes. Like, listen. I get it. We don't like it when our quarterbacks throw interceptions, and we already hate it when it's definitely on them. So when we see any type of sliver of, an excuse, we try to throw it to him. But nah, them interceptions was on Kyler, just like them interceptions was on Kyler. My problem is I just don't think that this offense is consistent enough. For one, maybe another running back would help. I know they had Kenyon Drake last year, and he had a pretty decent year towards the end of the year last year, but I just don't think the Cardinals is consistent enough, and that's why they in the situation that they in. You start off the season winning all those games, and then you get hella inconsistent at the end of the season, and this is the outcome. And this is why I took Stafford. This is why I took the Rams over the Cardinals. Not really because of Stafford, because like I said, Stafford had never won a playoff game either until tonight. But Kyler Murray, for one, he's a rookie basically in the playoffs, so this is his first playoff appearance. And unlike Joe Burrow, because I think Joe Burrow ended up looking kind of fresh towards the end of that game, but the difference is he played an inferior team. The Raiders are not anywhere near as good as a team, in my opinion, as the Bengals. However, the Raiders still could have won that game if they didn't have so many fucking penalties and couldn't score in the red zone. But this was the game that I thought could get away from Kyler because he young. They keep saying that, it's just another game. This shit's not just another game because it ain't another game if you lose this game. So this shit just ain't another game. And I hate it when I hear young players who never experience this type of moment on a regular basis or these type of games on a regular basis dumb it down to that. Because I understand you don't want to make it bigger than it is, but this is bigger than it is. Like, if you do not win this game, everything we did this season is for nothing because it is over. Our journey ends here. So I would like to see quarterbacks stop lying so much and saying that it's just another game because this shit is not just another game. But I guess I get it. You want to be media correct and whatever. But yeah, bigger than just another game. And so the reason I don't think that the Cardinals are going to build from this, and I know that's crazy to say, like, you don't think they're going to build off of this good season? No, because they didn't finish the season strong. They finished the season bad. Yeah, you got the win over Dallas. Dallas clearly wasn't the team that people thought they were, or they were the team. What's funny to me is the majority of the sports world, like the professional sports people who do this on TV, who you see every day on your TV and shit like that, most of them picked the 49ers to win this game, unless they was just like a Cowboy fan. That's what's crazy. And when you look at it, it's crazy how much the Cowboys get talked about in the media over the last couple of years, even though they've been a bad team until this year. And this year, I really think you could say they was a bad team. They just beat up a lot of good teams. A lot of bad teams. Nah, you can't say they was a bad team. They did get double-digit wins. But, when you pick up 6 wins, think about this. 6 of their wins was against their division, bad teams, right? They was a 10. How many games they won this year? 11 games or 12 games. The other 6 was, and they played some bad teams in those too. it's just funny, but the reason I don't think that the Cardinals grow from this is because I don't think the Seahawks are going to be this bad next year, especially if Russell Wilson come back. Now I know I've been talking about Russell Wilson going to other teams and shit like that, but if Russ stay in Seattle's not missing the playoffs next year. It's not happening. Russell Wilson's not missing the playoffs in back-to-back years. That's why I think it's going to be interesting next year in the AFC, because Lamar Jackson's not missing the playoffs back-to-back years. You know what I'm saying? So now you could say he'll replace the Steelers, but I want to see Joe Burrow put back-to-back playoff seasons together. Like, people think that shit easy. This shit ain't easy. That's why I hate it when people be just hating on Lamar like the man ain't took the Ravens to the playoffs 3 years in a row. Like, that shit ain't easy. And so it's when I'm looking at this Cardinals team, right? And prayers up to Budda Baker. He was concussed and left on the stretcher tonight. When I'm looking at this team, you looking at the players, right? Chandler Jones getting older. Obviously, I don't even know if he'll be back next year. You got Budda Baker, a young stud. You got Kyler. You got D Hop, who getting a little bit older, because I think D Hop about to turn 30 or something. Larry Legend was at the game. He was also on the Peyton Manning, the Manning and Eli broadcast. I mean, you got your good little nucleus of players, I guess. You got Christian Kirk. You know, you got some players. I just don't think, ultimately what it's going to come down to is coaching and the quarterback. And when I'm looking in this division, right, Jimmy Garoppolo might not be back next year. If he is, I would take the 49ers. And if he's healthy, I would take the 49ers over the Cardinals. Russell Wilson, I'm expecting him to be back next year and healthy. Him and Pete Carroll will be back in the playoffs next year if they are back together next year. Now, I personally think they should fire Pete Carroll, not because he's a bad coach, just because it come a point in time where a philosophy get old, where one thing become old and it's time to freshen it up. And if you don't want to lose Russell Wilson, then fire the. I never understand how this is a thing where teams have to decide between a coach and a player. Like, I never understand this. And the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick thing, that's one thing, because Tom Brady was an older player. You may have thought this was close to the end, like he only had like 2 or 3 years left in him. That's a little bit different. Tom Brady done fooled everybody because he got so many, or fooled the non-believers. That's different. In this situation, if you got to pick Pete Carroll or Russell Wilson, like, this is not even a discussion. You pick Russell Wilson and you go let him help find a new head coach for him. Any way to keep Russell Wilson is what you should be trying to do, not any way to keep Pete Carroll, because Pete Carroll without Russell Wilson, to me, is like, it's certain head coaches that, you know, could possibly, that's proven that they pretty good head coach. Like, to me, Kyle Shanahan done proven to you he a good head coach. Like, the motherfucker's winning with Jimmy G. There's not a lot of people around the league that's going to be winning with Jimmy G, in my opinion. And like I said, I think Jimmy G better than a lot of people give him credit for. But I know for a fact Kyle Shanahan would be winning more games if he had an elite Pro Bowl style quarterback. Like, if you give Kyle Shanahan, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, I think Lamar Jackson's would be absolutely ungodly. I say ungodly. I think he would be godly in a Kyle Shanahan offense. Like, it wouldn't be fair. Like, that shit would be unfair. Lamar, Debo, Ayuk, Kittle. What? Juice? Are you serious? That shit would be nuts. That shit would be insane. And I want to take a quick second, bro, because it was a lot of Baltimore Raven fans. I'm a Baltimore Raven fan myself, but it was a lot of Baltimore Raven fans on Twitter this year when Odell was being traded, talking about we don't need Odell, or what we got better than Odell. And I just want to tell those Baltimore fans, you're fucking stupid. You're fucking stupid. You're bozos. You're idiots. You're idiotic. You don't watch football. Like, it's clearly something is wrong with you. Like, and I done spoke on this multiple times, bro. It's no level of fandom that can make me be a fucking idiot. Okay, maybe that's maybe that's incorrect, because AD is better than Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram, and I did not want that motherfucker over neither one of them, because I knew he was an injury-prone player. Plus, I don't like AD. I'll talk about that on a different podcast, on a different show. Pro player show, though. I'm not saying that I don't like AD the person. I'm saying I don't really fuck with AD the player. Pro player show, though. But in talking about AD, I damn near forgot what I was talking about. That's why you gotta have notes and stuff like that to write it down. I was on Twitter. While I was on Twitter tonight watching the game, I saw something about on my time. I just want to say, another thing. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this on YouTube or not. I don't know if this will kill my chances of getting sponsors or getting picked up one day. I saw Kay Adams talk. This ain't what I was going to talk about, but as you can see, I get distracted easily. I was going to tell you one story, got to another one. I was going to tell you that story, got to another story. So it's 3 stories sitting in the pipeline. Here come one. I saw Kay Adams on Pat McAfee show today, and how she talked about she started off as like a late night radio host, like where she would work from like 12 to 6 in the morning. Bro, that would be a dream. That obviously that's not what I would want to do my entire life. I would want to grow, expand, start my own type of company, be able to hire people, shit like that, blow up, put out great content, entertain people, make people day better. But to be a radio host, to come in at 12 at night, don't lead to 6 in the morning. If you telling me I can smoke blunts in the studio, bro, it's a go, bro. It's a go. Picking up the phone, talking to callers too. I'm very literate. I know how to pronounce words, but that don't matter. I know how to formulate sentences and shit like that. Convey my thoughts and shit real well without cursing if I needed to. I would have to think about it hard, but I thought that was pretty dope when Kay was talking about that. I don't watch around the NFL or Good Morning Football though, because I'm not saying it's a bad show or nothing like that. I've seen clips of it, but I ain't never got up and was like, oh, but let me watch Good Morning Football. You know what I'm saying? I guess that's just not my type of humor or whatever. I don't know, but that was the first one. That was one of them that popped in my head. But anyways, I was on Twitter last night, and I thought the Pat McAfee show was definitely going to bring it up, but they didn't. So I guess I will. At the Big Ben loss last night, the trending and I love that Twitter don't have no type of guideline, like it let this shit trend somehow. Last night at the Big Ben loss, Big Rape was trending. Now obviously if you know Big Ben's off the field issues and whatnot, you understand why that is his nickname, Big Rape. I legitimately have been calling Big Ben that for like the past decade or so. I did not know so many other people called that man that. And I should have probably realized that because I done called him that on Twitter, and I never had really got no fight back over that. And I follow Steeler fans, and I be having Steeler fans in my mention. I had never got no fight back over that, bro. And I was always wondering, like, damn, that's crazy that I can get away with calling that motherfucker something so aggressive. And last night I saw so many Americans doing the same damn thing. Tweeting, oh, I'm glad Big Rape out of here smoking on that Big Rape pack. I'm like, sheesh. What a legacy to leave, you fucking bozo. But hey, Big Ben was a great competitor on the field. I'm not finna be fugazi with y'all though, like the national media and stuff. Like, one person who I really liked the way they broke down Big Ben was Colin Cowherd. And maybe I'm starting to realize a lot of people like Colin too. Like Pat McAfee, maybe he don't really like him, but Pat said that they respect him. So, like, Colin Cowherd is one of the few, like, nationally televised sport anchors or whatever you want to call them that I actually enjoy. I have a lot of respect for Colin Cowherd. They don't make him like Stuart Scott no more, but that motherfucker Colin Cowherd, man, I just really like how he, now I'm not saying he right on everything he talk about. Sometimes he say shit that blows my mind. But I guess because most of the stuff I think everybody, one of the things that he said one time that was fucking crazy, that I was like, yo, this dude is just next level. And I don't know why I didn't think of this. Like, that's why that's why you should always be around people, because people make people smarter. If you don't get nothing else from this show, people make people smarter. I was watching Colin Cowherd one day, and he was like, so what you got to do when you judging a player is you got to take their best season, their worst season, you toss them out. Everything else is what you have, and that's the player you get. And I had never really heard nobody break it down like that before when they was, talking about a player. And he was either talking about Baker or Matt Ryan. I think it was Matt Ryan, though. And he was basically telling you that, like, Matt Ryan's a good quarterback, but, I mean, he had great weapons and blah, blah, blah. But if you take his best season, his worst season, you toss him out. And I think he wasn't disrespecting nobody. But I can't remember who he was talking about on that. But when I heard him describe it like that, I was like, man, that is so key. And so that's what I do when I'm thinking about players. Now, when I can't decide how I judge a player, like Kyler Murray is confusing because you can't really take his worst season and his best season and throw him out and be like, this is what you get. Because I think Kyler Murray is like, it's hard to say what's his best season. This one, his worst seasons kind of look similar to him, so it's kind of hard. Like it's weird. It's not like Kyler done had some just like out of this world season that was great, and then some just way atrocious season, and then you know what I'm saying. So I like how he did that though. Colin Cowherd is just fucking genius, but not a fucking genius, but he is one of the best out there at this thing, bro. Like I be seeing Joy pick up like his tendencies and shit, talking like him and shit. Like I be seeing Joy on somebody, and that's another person I like. I fuck with Joy heavy. Like one of the reasons I like Joy is because she is very great at articulating herself. But the one thing that I really like about Joy, and I don't know, maybe I ain't paying attention to it, is she don't immediately. I've never heard Joy try to use women in sports type of arguments on nothing when it's unnecessary. Like I ain't never heard Joy try to, Joy just a G, bro. Joy just seems like a fucking boss. I'm gonna be honest with you. Her whole swag is why I think Joy is a cool individual. Like I don't know Joy. I don't know Joy Taylor. But she seemed like a, smoke a blunt, chill with type of individual. Like she could really chop it up with you. You know what I'm saying? She looked like a very educated woman who know how to have a good fucking time when she ain't at work too. You know what I'm saying? Respect. It feel like she get respect in the streets and in the workspace. And I fuck with that. You know what I'm saying? It take a real G to be able to work with Colin. That's all I'm gonna say. Now, it take a real type of motherfucker to work with Skip Bayless, because I don't think that's a job that I could ever be able to do. Because I'm looking at Skip Bayless and some of these arguments that he have and some of these debates and some of the shit he say, and I'm like, yo, this shit makes no sense. Like, seeing him defend Baker by bringing up Odell all the time is kind of frustrating at this point, because it's like, how can you hate Odell this much to where you legitimately believe in your soul that all of Baker's problems are because of Odell? That's insane to me. And one thing that he keep doing, he keep going on TV lying and saying that Odell kept getting the ball forced to him by Baker. That happened like the first year he was there. Odell was legit a distraction. They used him as a decoy. That's the type of distraction. I'm not talking about the type of distraction that white folks in the media try to label black receivers. I'm not talking about that type. And I done said this before, but when they keep calling these dudes divas and shit like that, I think that's disrespectful, because you would never call these motherfuckers that to their face. And if these athletes got together and started calling the people in the media soft idiots, I saw Colin Cowherd call somebody an airhead. He called Jimmy Garoppolo an airhead. He was like, Jimmy make airhead plays sometimes, or he's an airhead sometimes. I'm like, God, leave Colin. But when I'm looking at some of these analysts, bro, and I'm looking at them talk, like, I could not get over the fact that they kept calling KD soft, and that was the softest basketball move, and then calling him all these names, and then got mad when he responded. I ain't never seen no athlete get the type of heat that Kevin Durant got for going to Golden State. And people expected this motherfucker just to let people continue to troll him, talk trash, and things like that. That's why I started. Hey, you remember when KD, when y'all was talking about his legs, and he said, I'm finna start bringing up how broke y'all. That's, dead ass, bro. When we all get rich, bro, when we run into individuals that's hating on us and being mean for no reason, that's what I call it, just being mean motherfuckers, bro. You ever just ran into somebody that's just mean for no fucking reason? Like when I was in college, I had this white girl tell me that the reason that she didn't, some people, like, we had these assignments in class and shit. And usually I would do the assignments by myself, or I would work with one of my homies that's in the class. But I had a class where I didn't have none of my homies, so I had to work with just random people sometimes that I had no interest in getting to know or knowing. And this white girl told me one time, she was like, the reason don't nobody ever work with you or say nothing to is because you look mean. And I was like, yeah, that's racist. I was like, I look mean because I'm black and don't smile. Okay. But that's neither here nor there. But listen, I don't know what we was talking about, but we gonna get back to Super Wildcard. You know what I should have did? I should have checked this. I should have watched a little bit longer so they could tell me what games is gonna happen next weekend, like the different game. I don't even think it's a Monday night game next week. Which, when you think about it, it's not even. man, the season coming to its dope ass conclusion, man. We ain't even thinking about that right now, though, man. We just thinking about these wild card games that just got done. It's a shame that the Cardinals season end like this, but I mean, it was kind of trending this way based off of how they've been playing the last couple weeks. The last couple weeks of the season. So, not really shocked there. What's interesting with the Cardinals is what's the moves that they make in the offseason? Like, is J.J. Watt coming back? Do he retire? I personally think J.J. Watt need to go ahead and call it a career. The motherfucker cannot stay healthy for a full season. I don't know how many teams want to continue to deal with that. Maybe the Cardinals is up for it for another year. I don't know. But the fact that the man don't play full seasons no more, or even half of a season anymore, is to me very concerning. He was legitimately out there in just name tonight. He made one play that really made no difference in the total outcome of the game. Like, my thing is, if you can't have J.J. Watt on the field and he can't be J.J. Watt, he cannot get after the quarter. If he cannot do his job, then I do not understand the purpose of having J.J. Watt out there. And I do not believe that J.J. Watt can do his job at a high enough clip to, for one, like, I don't even care about the money you make. You deserve what somebody pay you. I could care less about that. I'm not finna get into a millionaire's pockets. What I'm saying is, how much sense do it make to continue to pay J.J. Watt if J.J. Watt is not giving you the value of the dollar? I mean, you're paying him this money and he can't even give you but 4 or 5 games a season now. And maybe he'll get healthy to come back in the playoffs. But I mean, I don't know how you could justify bringing J.J. Watt back on that contract, to be completely honest with you. I think the Titans got to go. Well, the Titans. The Cardinals did have Zach Ertz, and I feel like I didn't call Zach Ertz's name or hear his name called once tonight. Maybe he was hurt or wasn't playing. I do not know. I do not remember them calling his name. And that's how bad the offense for the Cardinals was most of the night. But where do you go from here with the Cardinals? Like, obviously, D-Hop will be back next year. Is A.J. Green back next year? A.J. Green need to retire. Now, I don't want to, this pro player show. I love A.J. Green. A.J. Green actually one of my favorite receivers of all time. The reason being, that's one of the only motherfuckers that ever tortured my team throughout the majority or the entirety of his career while he was with us. When A.J. Green was a Cincinnati Bengal, healthy in his prime, that motherfucker torched the Baltimore Ravens, bro. We did not have an answer for A.J. Green. A.J. Green was, to me, what Julio Jones was to those Panther teams, Tampa teams, and Saint teams. That's what A.J. Green was to Baltimore for multiple years. The same reason I don't see, it's easy to show A.J. Green respect because A.J. Green, you hear A.J. Green's name, and if you, well, I don't know, because a lot of these kids nowadays probably didn't even watch A.J. Green in his prime. But the way I feel about Andy Dalton, it's easier to feel that way for A.J. Green also, because A.J. Green was actually dominant for, even though Andy Dalton and his success really went hand by hand, A.J. Green was a perennial Pro Bowler. People was talking about A.J. Green as the best receiver in the league for a long time, if not one of. Now, I personally thought the best receiver in the league for all those years was Julio, but A.J. Green would always be second to me for the simple reason the motherfucker torched us on a yearly basis 2 times a year. So, luckily, we never caught them motherfuckers in the playoffs because that we probably would have ended up being that team's first win in 31 seasons. Then again, never mind, because we played, Joe Flacco was just a different animal in the playoffs. So, actually, never mind. But A.J. Green, I think he got to retire for the simple reason this ain't the A.J. Green that I know. It hurt me looking at A.J. Green catch that pass, get popped, and immediately drop it. Because the A.J. Green that I know that torched my team all those years, he ain't dropping that. He ain't dropping that. If anything, he catching that and staying on his feet and making you drag him to the ground. Like, A.J. Green is not... He had a catch on the sideline where he couldn't even keep his feet in bounds. The old A.J. Green keeping his feet in bounds every single time, bro. Like, I'm literally watching the deterioration of A.J. Green. And it really hurts my heart. Because you don't never truly realize how much you appreciate... Well, I do, because I'm not so stuck up on being a Raven fan that I can't appreciate other players' greatness. I will never be so big of a Raven fan that I can't appreciate other teams' greatness. Like, I got a dude that followed me on Twitter. He responded to a lot of my tweets and shit. I really wish he'd get that hate out of his heart for some of these teams. Like, he's such a Raven fan that he just be hating on other players and shit. And I get the Baker hate. Like, we can agree on that one. But some of the other players he be hating on, it don't really make too much sense. Like, that motherfucker do not like Joe Burrow, bro. And I'm like, Joe Burrow, a good player. He like, nah, man, that's just a privileged white boy with a cocky attitude. And I'm like, all right. Like, I ain't gonna start an argument or a serious debate or nothing over that. I don't care about that. But, you know, my fandom for the Ravens will always come first and foremost. But nah, not enough to where I'm gonna hate players and shit like that, or hate great players. AJ Green is a stud. This motherfucker is one of the surest Hall of Famers I ever watched in my career. That's the beauty when you in a division and you gotta play them 2 times a year. If they got a player that's great enough, you hate seeing them play and you love it when they leave. I was ecstatic when AJ Green, all them years AJ Green was hurt towards the back end of his career in Cincinnati, I still feared that man as if he was still healthy, bro. Because I'm like, man, if they activate AJ this week, bro, it's over for us. That motherfucker going crazy. He gonna find his groove again against Baltimore. I'm telling you, man, AJ Green, I love AJ Green, but it just hurt me to see him like this, man. Like, this year just was not a good year for AJ Green. He seemed tentative now. You know, his body can't take the same type of punishment and hits that it took back in the day. He just don't look like AJ Green, and I don't know if it's the offense. I don't really think AJ Green fit this offense. Like, I don't think this is an AJ Green style of offense. Like, AJ Green in a different offense probably could have looked way better than he looked in this one. But yeah, this was. It's hard to see my boy look like this, even though he tortured us for so many years. What I hope for AJ Green is if he don't retire, like if this ain't the end for AJ Green, I hope he go to a team where he can be. For one, I would prefer to see him go to Tampa. Like, he could go to Tampa and replace Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown possibly is, at this point could probably be better than. Actually, let me say something that nobody. I saw Skip say it. This dude AB said who better than me on the team. Motherfucker, I don't even remember them calling your number when they won the Super Bowl. Like, what are we doing right now? Like, I know AB is a great player, Hall of Famer, not first ballot no more, but first ballot off of just his play, yeah. Now, we know we're going to the Hall of Fame, so he definitely not going to be a Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer. Now they're going to make motherfucker wait a couple years, but, bruh, what are you talking about? Who better than you on that team? I would take Mike Evans over you right now. And I don't even think Mike Evans is a top 5 receiver in the NFL. And I would take him over. Now, granted, the reason I don't think Mike Evans is a top 5 is not because of Mike Evans. Mike Evans, before Tom Brady, was easily a top 5 receiver in the NFL. But he had a quarterback who could get him the ball on them deep passes and shit like that on a regular basis. Mike Evans with Brady is still a great receiver, but his game done changed. Excuse me. His game done changed a little bit. Burp came so quick I couldn't prepare for it. His game done changed up a little bit. He not running the same deep routes and shit all the time. It's a lot of slants, a lot of shorter routes and shit like that now. You got to acquiesce and adapt to your quarterback skill set. And so, as a matter of fact, fuck that. Now, he ain't top 5 right now, but Mike Evans is arguably a top 5 receiver right now. I take Mike Evans right now over AB. Has Mike Evans been AB at his peak? No, but Mike Evans got a lot of career left. And Mike Evans was also not playing with a Ben Roethlisberger for most of his career. He was playing with Jameis Winston. I like Jameis. Jameis did not have no type of control. The picks and all that, the turnovers, come on now. Bruce Arians already told you that he thought he could win if they had a different quarterback at the helm with less turnovers. And that's exactly what he did. Motherfucker went out and won a Super Bowl. So, listen. It's just, I don't agree with AB saying that shit. I think Godwin better than him right now. I'm being honest with you, man. Brady force feeding you the ball don't really do shit for me, dog. Like, it's hard for me to say, oh, man, this receiver's so great, when I know you purposely, intentionally getting the ball forced to you, bro. It's not organic. It's not you legitimately winning routes and shit like that. It's them running routes that you really not being defended on so you can get the ball as many times as humanly possible because we just going to force it. We're going to call up plays where it's little to no defense on you so we can just make you, you do run after catch. And that's not no shot at AB. AB is a great receiver. He is a first ballot Hall of Famer if we're going off of his career, even though we know his antics off the field done fucked him over on the like Vince McMahon said. Vince didn't screw Brett. Brett screwed Brett. AB screwed AB. What? AB screwed AB. What? You heard what I said. AB screwed AB, bro. That's what it is. And so, even though, yeah, AB, you great. That's what I don't like about AB. The constantly throwing motherfuckers under the bus. Motherfucker throw any and everybody under the bus, bro. I can't get down with that. Motherfucker who get mad and instantly start talking shit about everybody, even motherfucker. I was about to let one slide. Even motherfucker. I was about to let one slide, bro. I was getting into it. But yeah, we gotta get off of AB subject. AB be getting me going, bro. AB be getting me going. He gonna get me fucked up on this. He gonna make sure that. But anyways, the Cardinals, bro. I'm really interested in see what happened next for the Cardinals, cause, like I said, man, I'm at the point where I ain't gonna stunt with you. I'm almost ready to say that this year was an aberration for the Cardinals. Like, this shit will not happen next year. That's where I'm almost ready to go to with the Cardinals, because it's just so hard for me to look at them, see what they did this year, and be like, yeah, they're gonna do this again next year when everybody get healthy. Especially the way they ended it, man. That was rough. That was rough. And for the Rams, good for the Rams. You move on, blah, blah, blah. But, man, Kyler looked rough in this game. And I just think maybe you don't fire Cliff. And I don't think they're going to fire Cliff. He just got him to the playoffs. But we got to have a conversation with Cliff about these calls. And about his offensive game plays, because it's not good enough. If you think Kyler Murray is who you think he is, like I said about Dak yesterday, if you think Dak Prescott is the quarterback that you say he is, a franchise guy, then there's certain teams you gotta beat. Now, this ain't a team that I'm saying that Kyler had to beat, because Stafford is a hell of a quarterback. That's a hell of a team over there with the Rams. I think they quoted Von Miller in saying that it looked like a Pro Bowl out there. But you got to play better than that. Now, I'm not going to trip on it too heavy, because this is first playoff game. A lot of dudes done looked worse in their first playoff game. You just hope that your dudes start to figure it out towards the end of that, and you build off of it. Now, am I saying Kyler Murray is never going to make it back to the playoffs? No, I am not. What I am saying is that this Cardinals team going to have to get some more structure, some more, they got to make shit easier for Kyler, bro. We can't keep putting Kyler, running them to death, getting them tagged up. Like I said, I don't understand the fact that Kyler can be hurt every year, yet one of our biggest play calls is to still keep having this motherfucker scramble around and run and shit and put himself in a position to get hurt more. I just can't for the life of me understand that when it comes to the Cardinals. So that's very confusing. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, man. I would fire Cliff. I do not think Cliff Kingsbury is a good head coach. And like I said, I don't advocate firing coaches and shit, but this is a pro player show, so coaches can get it. Even though I do have a lot of respect for head coaches, especially great ones. I don't think Cliff Kingsbury moves the needle for this team. It's like I said about Mike McCarthy. And Mike McCarthy got a Super Bowl on his resume. But when I look at this game and I say to myself, what is Cliff Kingsbury's difference? What is the difference that he is making on this team? I don't see it. I'm looking at the Rams, and I said in the show previously, the Rams need to get back to running the ball. Sean McVay's best offenses is when he had Todd Gurley running the ball. Now, I know some people are like, well, that was Todd Gurley in his prime. No. It don't matter that it was Todd Gurley in his prime. It was a running back who could do what Sean McVay needed him to do, and that's how everything operated. It's an easy game when the running backs is doing what they need to do in Sean McVay. Because Sean McVay kind of run like a vertical run game. like the zone, vertical zone running, where he hit you up the field, but the run is through the zone and shit like that. Like when Sean McVay can get you with the run game, he gonna destroy you with those play actions and all these different type of formations in the pass game, where he can just run it down your throat. And that's what they was able to do tonight, because Cam Akers was back. He was healthy. He looked great. I didn't even realize how small Cam Akers was, because Madden got the man built wrong. Madden is like one of the worst fucking games, bro. Like, how did that game get to that? How did it get to that? It's like a relationship where you're dating somebody so long, and you know shit probably been going wrong for a long time, been going south for a long time. You never pay attention to it. You look up one day and you was like, "Fuck, man, what happened? Like, what happened?" That's what Madden is, bro. Dead ass. But I was watching this, I just thought about something else. I was watching this game, and I had got on Twitter. This was that other story that I was going to tell y'all before I had cut to like two different stories. And this is funny that I'm bringing this up, because this got absolutely nothing to do with it. I was just on Twitter, and I was watching the game, and randomly something popped up that was like Pokemon and Ninja, some shit like that between them two. The streaming world, what a world. What a world. We're not getting into that on here, though. That's not my world. And plus, I do not talk about drama. This ain't that type of show. But yeah, so I'm ready for the next round of the playoffs next week, man. I'm glad. I saw people on Twitter, and I saw different people talking about the NFL adding the extra team and what did it and I think a lot of them people is really just salty their teams didn't get to it. But if you really one of them people that's mad that these games weren't competitive over the weekend, most of them, all of them really, except for one, I'm going to tell you who you should be mad at, okay? Be mad at injuries, because injuries happen, and that's what killed a lot of the good teams this year. Be mad at the Colts, because the Colts lost to the Jags, which is the only reason you had to watch Pittsburgh get their asses stomped in by the Chiefs, because the Colts lost to the Jags. Blame, like I said, the injuries, where you can blame now all that because Baltimore had injuries. The Seahawks had injuries. These is teams that would have filled them positions from them bad teams that y'all didn't want to see play. Now, the Patriots, that was an interesting one, because I think the Patriots make it regardless. They had a good season. I just think the Patriots formula is what fucked them over in the end. And I didn't see enough people blaming Bill Belichick. Like, I saw some people blaming Bill Belichick, but I didn't see enough people blaming him. I saw more people trying to hop to that quick little get out of jail free card. Oh, it's Mac Jones. He was bad. They lost because of Mac. For one, it's hard for me to blame a quarterback for losing a fucking game when the other team don't punt the ball one time. The other team gets 7 drives and score on all of them. Not field goals. They score 7 touchdowns. I'm immediately looking at the defense and like, what the fuck just happened? You had 7 opportunities and you let them score on all 7 of them. What? In the playoffs? And that's one of the things that's crazy to me. I already said that Bill don't get enough blame for when he do bozo shit, because we done acknowledge that he is the GOAT. But Bill got a lot of these blunders in the playoffs, and I understand he got the Super Bowls and shit like that. But I'm going to be honest with you. I saw Skip Bayless say this morning, I was at about 50% with Bill. Now I'm about at 90. Yeah, Skip, I'm damn near there with you, bro. And I don't agree with most of the shit Skip say. But I'm almost there with him on this Bill Belichick shit, man. Because as much as I respect head coaches, and I think they make a huge difference when they're great, man, it's hard for me to look at these years with Bill. Yeah, he got that one Super Bowl with that defense. And yeah, you can give his defense a lot of credit for different shit. But boy, the difference that Tom Brady make. The difference that Tom Brady make, bro. Because at the end of the day, people can say all they want to. At the end of the day, most of these games come down to who has the better quarterback. That's what it come down to at the end of the day most of the time. Yeah, I know the Seahawks beat Peyton Manning and the Broncos in the Super Bowl. Yeah, I understand that the Seahawks with Matt Hasselbeck got to the Super Bowl over a Drew Brees led Saint and a couple other teams. I get all that. I understand Eli Manning and the Giants beat Tom Brady and the Patriots twice. One of them times they had Eli Manning. They had Randy Moss. I get those anomalies in history. I get that. Even though defenses won championships at that point in time, and come on now, if you forget about that NASCAR Giants defense, then you just did not grow up during that time with O.C. Emmure, Justin Tuck, Michael Strahan. That was Jason Pierre-Paul, JPP. It's kids today who don't even know JPP in his prime was a Giant. Some people think JPP's first ring was this last year. That man he got 2 rings. I don't think he was a part of their first Super Bowl when they beat Brady and them boys. But maybe he was. And I remember when they first were showing JPP out there doing backflips, or I think it was backflips, right? And it was like, look at this big motherfucker out here doing these backflips. But I remember that shit when I was young watching JPP, man. A lot of these dudes who I watched growing up starting to get towards the end of their careers and whatnot. Aaron Rodgers is a bit of an interesting one because technically we watched Brett Favre and then he came along. But I mean, technically, I didn't watch the entirety of Aaron Rodgers' career too. I'm a huge Aaron Rodgers fan. I think I become a bigger Tom Brady fan by the day. Like every time I see this man out there talking shit to the other team and shit like that, I mean, he sold me on when he was talking shit to the Saints sideline. Like, congratulations on you winning your fucking regular season Super Bowl again. Congrats. I'm happy for you. It truly am. Ecstatic. Can't believe it. Like, I like that. I like that. But I'm ready for the next round. Because, you know, like the Eagles, like I'm not even mad at the teams that got their asses whooped in the first round. I'm really not. Like, I know a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people mad about it. I'm not mad about it. Like I said, shit happens. You know, I'm one of them people who just appreciate football unless it's just bad football. Like, I don't like bad football. And I know some people characterize bad football as a great defensive game. Nah. One of the things I hope they fix going into next... Man, let me talk, bro. I was finna say one of the things I hope they fix going into the next season is this thing where quarterbacks like to throw. It's a 3rd and 6, and they throw it 4 fucking yards behind the line of scrimmage and hope their receiver pick up the rest of the yards. And I'm like, what the fuck is this buffoonery? They got to do something with these refs, man. They got to do something with these refs. It was a rough weekend for the refs, but good Lord have mercy, man. These fucking refs, I swear the NFL refs want to be the NBA's atrocious refs so bad. And I done said multiple times the refs in the NBA the refs in the NBA are the worst refs in any sport. I don't watch hockey, so I could not tell you when it comes to hockey. I know some baseball fans out there that be like, well, let me show you these clips of the umpires. That's subjective. Baseball is a harder game to call when you're talking about strike zones and shit like that. That's a tougher game to officiate. The NBA refs are just atrocious. And plus, baseball refs, the blue don't usually cost you games. NBA refs can legitimately cost teams games, give teams games, kill teams runs, bring teams back in the game. If a game look like it's getting boring, no problem. Ref can hurry up and make that bitch competitive again. I do not like the refs in the NBA, and the NFL refs is trending towards that way very rapidly. Not trending. They are racing towards that path. I'm talking about in them Tron laser scooters, whatever the fuck them shits was, bro. They are blitzing their way to becoming NBA refs just as egregious as NBA refs, bro. Like, it was a play tonight where AJ Green caught the ball and got hit and dropped it immediately before he even hit the ground. And they ruled that shit a catch and fumble. And they took so long to do it. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, this is an easy no catch, because it wasn't a catch. I mean, the man hit the ground and the ball was out of his hand before he even hit the ground. That's not a catch. And they called it a catch. And so Sean McVay had to challenge this shit just to basically get them to overturn it. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, Sean McVay already done lost this challenge, even if he win it. Because the fact that he had to challenge what should have been so fucking obvious. And you got replays, bruh. I done seen the replay a billion times. How can you not just look up and watch this replay, bruh? Like, the ego of these refs, man, they got to do something with these refs. Now, to the refs' credit, they changed both of the plays that they fucked up for the Rams. Like, Stafford but to me, they was just both so bad. Like, when it comes to the Stafford play, for one, the fact that they called him not in the end zone so many times was just laughable. I done seen dudes get in the end zone on less. Like, that quarterback sneak should have scored the first time. They tried to say he didn't score it on any of them except for the last attempt. That was buffoonery. Because then Sean McVay had to challenge it to get it overruled when he so clearly got over the line of scrimmage. Like, I don't understand how the refs see certain shit and don't see other shit. But the AJ Green play, where you take that much time, then you rule that a catch fumble. I'm thinking to myself, I done seen these motherfuckers call catches non-catches. This is so very clear and obviously not a catch. And they just called this shit a catch and fumble. That's the type of shit that make people say, oh man, this game's rigged for money. That's the type of shit that make people say that goofy shit. Because when you see the refs take that type of time, and you looking at it at home, now obviously we got a better advantage because we looking at it at home and shit, but when you see the refs take that type of time, you see them watch replays and shit, and still get the play wrong. It make you think, what is all this for? Because my biggest complaint was, amongst a lot of things with these fucking refs, Sean McVay shouldn't have even had to challenge those two plays. Because with these refs' egos and shit, and how truly bad at their job they've shown us they are, they'll say the play stand. That's legit why coaches would not challenge pass interferences when that was a thing. Because they knew the refs would not overturn the call. Now, I'm one of them people who didn't never think pass interference should have been a challengeable call. Just because of the type of play that is. But then when it was implemented, I was like, okay, this is pretty, I get it. Because this is a big penalty if you commit a pass interference. This is about 50 fucking yard line. It could be a 4th and 30 something at midfield, and you can be in it first and goal off of one pass interference. So I get that you should be able to challenge it. But then when the refs started doing what they was doing with these challenges, I was like, yep, should have never brought this shit in. Was fine doing it the way we. And really, the only reason this became an issue was because of the shit that had happened in that Saints game. And this is what I'm saying. You got to implement a rule to challenge something that's so clear and obvious. And that's the problem. Because like I said, these egos on these refs, Sean McVay could have lost both of them challenges still. And if he had lost the first one, he don't get the second one. If he loses the second one, he don't get another one. So it's just, I don't, the NFL got to do something with these refs in the offseason, bro. And I heard that most of these referee groups ain't even the groups that they work with during the season. Like, they done been split up into basically all-star teams or whatever. That's fucking stupid. That is absolutely fucking stupid. Why do you not have the same crew work with the same crew has been working with all season in these games? Like, as if these ain't the most important games of the fucking season. I don't understand that. And the NFL make a lot of money, and they pay a lot of people to let them know about shit like this, I would imagine. You know what I'm saying? So it's very weird, but it's the NFL. It's $1 billion organization, man. They don't, I'm not big enough for them to hear my type of complaints. Even if I was, they wouldn't give a fuck. But yeah. But that was Wildcard weekend, man. It was a good weekend. Like I said, I understand people not liking some of the games, but if you was one of them people that hated, the shit that you saw this weekend, you got to get mad at injuries and shit like that, man, because that's what cost you your viewing experience. But congrats to all the winners. The Rams, the Niners, the Bucks, the Bills, the Bengals. Congrats. Did I forget anybody? I don't think I did. Next week, I know the AFC matchups is already. I'm almost certain I think I know the NFC matchups also. So for the AFC, it's going to be Titans, Bengals in Tennessee. For the it's going to be Bills, Chiefs. And then for the AFC, I believe it's going to be Tennessee. It's going to be Green Bay, Rams. I think it's Green Bay. No. It's going to be Tampa Bay Rams. Tampa Bay play the Rams again. And Green Bay is going to play the 49ers again. So this is going to be interesting. Because you see, or do the Rams play the fucking Packers next week? Either way, it's going to be one of them variations. Some dude called into the Pat McAfee show today and was basically like Aaron Rodgers is going to the Super Bowl because he's going to right some of his wrongs. Like, lost to Tom Brady last year. He's going to beat him this year in the playoffs. Lost to the 49ers when they had Cap. He's going to get him this year. We'll see. It'll be a great little story. It'll be a crazy year for Aaron Rodgers if he finish it off with a Super Bowl. With all the shit he done been in his stratosphere this year, it'll be very dope if he ended with it, because he's gonna win MVP. So if he win back-to-back MVPs, a Super Bowl this year, I really think Aaron Rodgers need that Super Bowl, man. He too good of a quarterback to only have one Super Bowl, and the one that he won was so long ago, most people can't even remember it. It's crazy. Like, in the run that they went on, like, nobody really talk about it no more. Maybe people in Green Bay, but you know, Aaron Rodgers gotta get another one. Gotta get him another one. I want to see him get another one. I think this year is as good a year to do it as any, because you ain't got Baltimore in the playoffs to beat your ass. So he could win the Super Bowl and I wouldn't even be mad. Like, he could beat any team in the AFC right now and I wouldn't. Because the team that I want to win the Super Bowl right now, like, out of all the teams that's left, because I could legitimately root for any of them, aside from the Bengals. I wouldn't root for the Bengals. I wouldn't root for a team in my own division to win the Super Bowl. Because that's the type of shit that I'm not finna listen to. I don't want to listen to the fans in my division talk about that bullshit. You know, as a matter of fact, I'm okay with Pittsburgh winning the Super Bowl. I could care less Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh and Baltimore, like Pittsburgh and Baltimore rivalry. Pittsburgh are who they are who they are. Like, those rings, them championships ain't going nowhere. They solidified. Like, it's no what do you want to call it? Like, I have no type of ill will towards the Pittsburgh stuff. Like, nothing really a Pittsburgh fan could say could bother me, because Pittsburgh is what it is. They wanted to establish franchise. It's kind of like, it's nothing you could really say to bother a Yankee fan. I mean, because that's like the greatest. They got more championships than any sport in sports team history, right? But you know, when we talking about baseball, come on now. I'm not gonna disrespect baseball and say it's not a sport. It's definitely a sport, but come on. It's the same league that's, you know, letting the Yankees keep them titles that they won back in the day when. Come on now. The Yankees had all the best players on their squad and shit. How you think that happened? Baseball was racist as shit back in the day. They probably still keeping the Yankees championships from before the color barrier was broken. Thinking about the money that the Yankees had to pay a lot of people to come to. They're like, come on now. Ain't it crazy that almost all of the legendary players in baseball, some of the most legendary players in baseball, all of them took a stop in New York? Ain't that crazy? Wow. Except for my boy Big Papi. Manny Ramirez never played in New York. We ain't finna get into baseball, no motherfucker. Mookie Betts never gonna play in New York either, bro. He played on Boston, the good side. He ain't never gonna play in. Mookie never leaving LA though, so that's what's up. I'm so happy Mookie got traded to LA, and Mookie's never leaving LA. If Mookie don't play bad, like, Mookie is never leaving LA. He is going to retire a Dodger if he remains one of the top players in baseball. What I hope is that Bryce Harper end up in LA if the fucking Phillies can't figure out a way to put a team around him so he can be in the playoffs perennially, bro. I hate it when teams waste great player talent, bro, because some of these players will retire without the accolade, with just like personal accolades and without the team accolades, when team accolades is one of the most important things that you need. And you got some of these, like, one of the most bullshit things that ever happened in sports was when the Nats lose. Bryce Harper signed with the Phillies. The same year he leave the Nats, they win the fucking World Series. That's bullshit. I think that was rigged to this fucking day, bro. To this day. Now, granted, I'm a big Bryce Harper fan. Bryce Harper and Mookie Betts is my favorite players in baseball. So I'm hella biased. But listen, I don't appreciate the Washington Nationals winning a ring right after Bryce signed with the Phillies. Not to mention, Bryce in Philly is better than Bryce in Washington because of the marketing shit and the uniforms and shit. Listen, Philly better fucking put a team around him, bro, because Philly can do it. They can spend the money. They have the money. They have the mark. I don't know if they had the money, bro. I'm not into baseball like that. I was about to sound like I knew what the fuck I was talking about doing. Some motherfuckers was going to they was going to take that ride with me. They was going to be like, yeah, Saint, you right. And they can do that. And they can do that. And Saint don't know what the fuck he talking about. He just out here ranting. But I want Bryce Harper to get a championship. That's what I do know. When Bryce Harper win a championship, bruh, this channel will have blown up by now, and we probably won't get to interview him. But, you know, I'm not gonna say that. We might be able to interview him one day, man. Listen, y'all don't understand. If I could blow up one day and all my favorite athletes could be old, and I'm still gonna want to talk about their glory days, bro, because this is a pro athlete channel, bro. Straight up. Now, I know we talk shit about it. Well, we don't really talk shit. We just say, you know, we speak facts. I say the shit that got to be said. But back to that Kay Adams story that I was thinking about, bro. Can you imagine how dope it would be to be? Now, I know some people probably wouldn't fuck with it. They're like, oh, I got to sleep during the night. I'm not really a nighttime sleeper. I sleep during the day, really, because that's how my job's always done been. But a radio host, 12 to 6 in the morning, bro, that'd be cake, bro. That'd be cake. That would be easy. As long as I ain't on like a station that's playing like bluegrass and shit. I really wouldn't want to be on like no musical station. I would want to be on a station where I'm actually talking the majority of the time, like chit-chatting, discussing shit. You know what I'm saying? Like having a discussion with somebody about sports. Not hockey though, because like I said, bro, hockey, like, come on, bro. Who watches that shit? Like, and that's what's funny. People who talk hockey could probably blow up quick, because I'm thinking to myself, now you gotta understand, in my world there is absolutely nobody I know who likes hockey or watches hockey. Like, I cannot think of one person in my stratosphere that fucks with hockey, bro. I tell you what though, one day I want to sit down and talk to that motherfucker Colin Cowherd. I want to be on one of his shows one day. That motherfucker Colin Cowherd is just he's a great mind. I would like to be on the Pat McAfee show someday also, too, though. I was looking at them talk about hiring people and shit like that. Pat, I mean, just give me a call, swing me a message, bro. You get a black man in the studio on a regular basis like myself. Pat, the show already is unbelievable. You get me in that thing, you don't even got to pay me a shit ton, bro. I'm a simple man, Pat. All I ask for is a roof over my head, blunts, and, you know, something to watch the TV on. So that when I get ready to, you know, sit back and listen to music and shit on the TV, or look at some YouTube things when I'm doing my research and shit. I'm telling you, Pat, I'm the perfect hire, my guy. But with that said, I appreciate y'all for joining me on another episode of Kicking It with Saint podcast, man. I truly do appreciate y'all for joining me. And I keep saying podcast, even though I told y'all we done evolved. We are no longer just a podcast. But I keep saying that. But you get it. I appreciate y'all for joining me, man. I appreciate y'all for stopping by and kicking it with Saint. Y'all like how I did that shit right there, eh? Hey, man, tell somebody you fuck with him. Tell somebody you love him, man. Saint out.
You ready to make history? Come on now. Yeah. You know, there's these two words. And when I say them, people get goosebumps because they know what happens next. So without further ado, free smoke.